So what I'm planning to do is to show you a little bit of some techniques that I found very useful and which I found very opening for new stuff and to experiment around, and they're fun. And whenever you have a question, please. Well, I will sometimes interrupt what I'm saying and ask sometimes, do you have a question? Is that clear? So please go forward if something is unclear for you. And also everything that I show you, or maybe at some point, maybe I'll give some feedbacks on questions. It's my subjective personal view. So I don't think there's right or wrong in music. I can give you my honest opinion, but it's everything. It's very subjective and personal what I feel. And I tried my best to show you and what you need, what you like, take it. What you don't need, leave it here. So it's absolutely no obligation. So I take my guitar just to yeah, this is my A. So maybe it's just for you to tune a little bit now that we're not completely. It's more fun to play in the same tune. All right. So what I like to start with is something that I call funky strumming. Strumming in the guitar world, it used to be, when I started with classical guitar, strumming was something like that. It doesn't even sound like a rhythm. And but with two ingredients, actually, this can become very funky. So, what's the difference between and so? And now I will wrap it up step by step. The first thing is when you have so up and down movement. What I do, and I would recommend you to try it out to do that, although maybe it feels new, but try it a little bit, because you can become very loud and very on the spot like this. The downstrokes played with the with M and A. So this is really yeah, try it maybe. And the upstrokes are with a thumb. You know, often it's the other way around, that people go down with a thumb and up with the fingers. But here, and this is also another technique, so it's not better or worse, but try to go down with the fingers. For me, it's M and A, and the upstroke with a thumb. So it's down, down, up. Join me. Down, up, down. Okay. If it feels new for you, it is not because it's difficult. Actually, that's with everything. It's just because when something feels difficult, it's only new, or it is played too fast. That's the two things that make us feel something is difficult. It's new or it's too fast. That's it. So, and because the fact that it's new, you can change it very easily by playing it until it feels organic and natural. All right. I go one step further. So when you put the weight on like the bass on the one, it's a completely different thing. 1, 2, or even 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So only on the one, you put the emphasis on the bass. On all the rest is mainly the 2 higher strings. Try to give it a big contrast. Let me try that. So, of course, we fast forward a little bit now. For everything that I show, I have some videos on YouTube. I will give you the link later. So everything I say, actually, you can still look up after YouTube. And because now, of course, if I say now play this until it feels natural, it's not always done in 2 minutes. Sometimes it takes a few days, and that is okay. Any tempo is okay. And so let's focus on the left hand for a while. This is out of the race. So actually, we have a beret chord, but most of the time I don't press the chord. So it's also more relaxing for the left hand because I do basically this. In this rhythm. So I don't even lift the fingers. It's that note. It touches the strings all the time. And just for very short moments in this rhythm, I press the strings. Duck, 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 duck. So this is actually, I guess it's not so complicated. And if you've done that for a while, then bring in the right hand. Dun, jack, dun, dun, dun. I reduce the speed. Dun, 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 1 and 2 and 4 and now comes the right hand. So this is it. And it's perfectly okay to stay in that tempo for a while and just to focus on the sound first. Because if the sound is not what you wish, what you aim for, then in the end, doesn't matter how fast you are. If the sound is not what you want, then it won't, you won't be happy in a fast tempo as well. So let's do it again. Bass. And remember, the right hand only on the 1 boom is the bass. So I give you a little outlook when it gets faster. It's because it works in a medium tempo and works in a fast tempo. course, you can change chords. So you see, that is already a different thing. So just with the change of two ingredients, by putting the emphasis on to separate bass and high notes, and to have a muted variation of the left hand. That's the two things. So now I'm saying something that is very important for everything. For every piece you play, it doesn't matter if it's classical guitar or all this. Always work in your comfort zone, which is defined by the speed here. So whenever you play something, you should feel comfortable and relaxed, because when you're not relaxed, you practice not relaxation, you practice stress. And this comes into your playing. So how can you reduce stress or even erase stress? It's by choosing the tempo that you feel comfortable with. Or the tempo, as I say, the tempo, the speed where you are under challenged. And feel relaxed. And it's actually a wonderful thing to have fun in playing. It should be like this all the time in music. Why it's not all the time? Because we feel stressed. But if we choose the tempo, we feel relaxed. We practice joy. And so, of course, at some point we want to get faster. We want to improve the speed. So then, step by step, go make it a little faster, Just stretch your comfort zone, I would say. So if you feel relaxed in this tempo, perfectly fine. Slower is fine as well. So then, if you feel relaxed, still feel relaxed after 5 minutes or whatever, then you can do it a little faster. Yeah. So this is the first thing, and then I would like to encourage you to play around, to find own variations of it. I'll give you an example. Didn't think of anything now, but okay. So you see that can be so much fun just to have this. What I try to show you as a starting point, but what I show you are only starting points, and then it's up to you to create something that you want to do or to play, to discover rhythms of your own. If any one of you has a question or when something is unclear, please unmute your mic and go ahead. Or maybe Vera is conducting some bit, I don't know. So are there any questions, or yeah, are there any questions? Currently, not. No questions so far. Oh, there.
Or I wanted to ask about the body movement. The body movement, it's like, should it be controlled or should it, like we should let it flow? Or
I'm not sure if I got you right. The body movement.
yes, yes.
The body movement. Oh, very good point. Yeah. Um, you actually, I think the body movement is uh, as important as the whole finger or hand movement, because any music is an imitation of dancing or singing. So actually, in classical guitar music, it's very controlled, very uh, limited. That you play amazing things and very hard things on the fretboard, but all the rest is kind of left out. So I think the more you allow yourself to use the body, everyone has a different body language. So for some people it's much more, for some it's small, but it's there. Allow yourself to do that. And it helps to make it bigger than it is in the beginning, to put into an extreme, because it makes it easier to allow yourself whatever you do. So like here in a funky, in a rhythmical, groovy way, it helps you to simply keep the rhythm and to keep the groove and the beat. Because you can't go out of groove when you dance. It's impossible, actually. You can't go out of beat if you just use the fingers, because it's just, it's much smaller, the movement. But if you make a bigger movement behind that makes you flow into the smaller movements, it's really hard to lose groove. So does that answer your question?
Hi sir, it's Avneet here. Avneet sir this side. Avneet Shah Singh this side sir. I had a question. Actually, currently I am pursuing grade 4 plectrum guitar from Trinity College. Am I audible?
Sorry, I don't.
Yeah, sir. Am I audible?
I can't hear you. I really can't.
Yes, sir. Am I audible now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Sir, I am pursuing grade 4 Trinity plectrum guitar.
Yeah.
So I was very, I had a desire for the composition area. So could you recommend any book for the composition where I can start, any book or something I get an idea for the composition of, in music.
Any book of which compositions?
The basic composition idea of how to compose or from where to start like modes or something, or any idea which can give me a brief of composition or something.
Right. Is it for? Do you want to learn it with the plectrum or with
plectrum guitar? And I am also doing the piano from Royal School of Music, ABRSM.
So for plectrum guitar, I don't know anything.
But any basic idea for the composition of the music, like?
Yeah, for the well, I can give you some, which has to do, it's closely linked with composing music, is arranging.
Yes.
And arranging music is, I think what is brilliant is the Fellow book by my colleague Thomas Fellow, which has a great build up from the very small first steps to really large arrangements.
Yes, sir. That is what I was expecting. What is the name of the book, sir?
What's the name of the book? Do I have it here? Just give me a sec.
No issues.
Do I have it here? What is the name of the book? Vera, do you know? I don't know. I think it's the Fellow book. Maybe Vera can check online now because she knows Thomas
So
as well.
the writer is Thomas.
Thomas Fellow.
Thomas Fellow.
Yeah.
The book. Okay, sir. I'll find it on internet. If you can find the name, you can drop the name at the end of the session in the comments.
Very good. I will do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. And actually, that's good for everyone to just know. You know, it's a good question. Ah, there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chroma. Yeah, that's it. I think, yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
I had a question about the right hand strumming. Which finger are you preferring for the for the downstroke? The
downstroke.
The first finger or the middle finger?
So for me, I do it with those two fingers, middle and ring finger. But it, you know, here again, it's individual. The length of each finger is very, yeah, it's different. So for me, you know, you can just find out by shaking your hands, like if you drop water, like this, and see what's the most natural way when you go closer to the strings. What touches?
So what comes naturally then? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions so far?
Hello, I would like to ask a question.
Yeah.
How much does the position of the guitar play, like as we play flamenco compared to classical, like the position of the guitar? Like you play holding it like this, but the classical position is like this. So is that much preferable to play?
Again, I would say, so also thank you for that good question. I would say you shouldn't stick to one position necessarily.
Okay.
For a few reasons, because it's not healthy for the body to spend 5 hours a day or 4 hours or whatever, some hours a day in one position. So I think for the body, it's good to have maybe 3 positions where you can switch. And for me, I mean, I don't use a footstool because I found it, I can't move as much as I want. I like to choose, I don't even use the word position so much because it's very static. You understand? Position always means static. And I would, I mean, I like to put the guitar on my, if you see that, on my leg like this sometimes, or like this, or like this, sometimes also like this. And I think it's very helpful to be flexible with it. In flamenco guitar, they have put it like this, and like this, because they can easier. They can. It's more really right. I say 90% angle, 90 degrees down there. In classical guitar, you have more like this because it makes you a softer, gives you a softer sound. I think that's the reason, more or less. But I think it's very good to be flexible with those.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, there will be the opportunity to have more questions later as well. I would like to go on a little bit. Oh, there's one more question I see. How do you make the downstroke sound like a snare beat? The downstroke, you mean this? Or you mean like this, right? Maybe? The second one. Yeah, okay, the second one. Thank you. First of all, I only can assume how it makes it. So it's because find your own sounds as well. But what I like to do is to have a lot of dead note, like I don't completely press it down. And then, yeah, it's the bass strings. I really hit hard down on the bass strings. When I downstrokes, when I want to hit it hard, it's mainly the bass strings. And even if there's tone, you have the percussive element in it. So the snare effect is there as well. Oh, but also the snare effect is actually more the bass strings. But of course, in the higher notes, it happens as well. I think you just have to hit it hard, and it's a mixture of the hand movement comes from the wrist and a little bit of the fingers. But I think the fingers are just thrown down by the rotation of the wrist. That makes this movement so fast and so punchy. I would recommend you to just try out and to just recommend you to try out a little bit this. So there's another question. How do I slap? I can actually we can spend a little bit on that because it's very good to combine it with this rhythm. First, I want to show you what slapping means. I don't know if everyone knows. Slapping means to pluck the string really hard, like let's say classical attitude, ugly. But so that is slapping, but it's very good to combine it with that. So is everyone okay if I show a little bit of slapping, how to do that? I just do it. Yeah. So okay, let's park the left hand here. We don't even have to pull it hard on the string. Just park it here, very relaxed. No pressing hard. So what we need is now, we have an A minor here, and put the thumb anywhere on any string, doesn't matter which string, but place it on the string with a sound like this. So this is already part of the slapping, right? And then you go under the string and release it. So it's two movements, 1 and 2. So that is actually a slap. In bass guitar, they do a lot of slap with the index, what I try to avoid because the nail gets broken. I like to slap with the thumb. So I would like to, well, we can try that out a little bit, just This is what you can try out. All right, and when I plug the string, I do press here a little bit, but the sound could be very short. See, I release right when I let the string pop here, I release the tension here. And go extremely on it. It can be really loud, but very short. And you can increase the speed if you like a little bit. Okay, so that is, and now I'll show you how to combine these things. We had the strumming and we had the slapping. Let me think of a rhythm. Okay, I will show you, I will first play to you that you have an idea of, this is the groove. Slow it down. And here we come to our tempo for the moment now. Okay, we remember the strumming that we just had. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the 3, 1, 2, 3. I want you to just put the thumb, hit the hard thumb on the strings. Bass strings are have more sound, but it doesn't matter if you do it here, it's okay. So it's 1 and 2 and 3. Join me. 1 and 2 and 3. And 1 and 2 and 3. And 1 and 2 and 3. So you can do that for a while. I give you the second step now, and you know that already. 1 and 2 and 3. Very short. So that is second step. 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. So to fast forward now a little bit, I give you the next steps, and it's actually just a dead note up and down movement. So all together this would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So it helps for me when I go under the string for the slap to lift the hand. It makes it easier to go down for the downstroke, you know. 1, 2, and 2 dead notes. Jump. So, again, find your comfort zone tempo and do it in that tempo. Try to make breaks, not to do it too much. You can get a blister on your thumb easily. So this is something maybe you have to take into consideration here. So, but yeah, when you feel comfortable with the tempo, this works fine in a medium tempo, like a reggae. Or, and of course, fast tempo, always fine. And I would like to show you another little trick shot. Okay, that's a question. That's why I have a question about the slap, requesting permission to. Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Hi. So real quick, I guess the trickiest part of that slap when you're doing. So I'm sorry. I'm holding an electric guitar. I'm sorry, sacrilege. But so one of the things that you're doing is when you're doing. So when you're getting that pop sound, when you're doing it slow, it's very hard to get that upstroke to happen. But something I'm noticing you're doing when you're playing at a faster tempo is you're opening up your palm a lot. You're going like you're doing that, and then you're using that to get the momentum to move upwards. Is that something that's helpful to you?
So just I'm repeating your question just to double check if that's what you meant. When
Sure.
I'm doing fast, I do more from the hand.
Yeah. So basically, you're still somehow mimicking the downstroke-ness of when you're like hitting the string. I'm explaining this terribly. When you're coming down on the downstroke, and you're like coming down on it, your palm is still doing the same action as it would when you're playing a downstroke. Like when you're playing a downstroke. So you're kind of using an open palm to help you get the upstroke when you're slapping, when you're going to slap the note, right?
Right.
Sorry, is that
right? So by the way, it sounded really good when you played it. It sounded really funky. But yeah, it helps to create space here to go under the string. So, but it can look different. It's just how I do it.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, it helps to really, put the thumb anywhere here, or sometimes I want to have a specific string. Somehow it happened. I think it has to do with the balance of the wrist, that I can, if I like this, it's not as punchy. I think if you open the hand, you have a stronger punch because you have a bigger balance weight on the other side of the hand. I don't know, my English is not so well, so I don't know how to describe it. I think you have a bigger punch when you open the hand for the thumb punch here. And it creates space when you go under the string. You can, but maybe it's possible even to do it like, I know people who do it with a not open hand, so it's possible as well, I think.
But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. That answers the question.
You're welcome. Let me give you a little trick shot with a thumb, with slapping. It's actually not so complicated as this might look. And it's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 movement. And maybe place your finger on your index on the E, on the A string, on this note. And actually all we need is the open E and this E. And now we need to have one. I give you every step. One, it's just a punch with, yeah, I use the bone here a little bit, this part, the bone. If you punch the string with the bone, it's much harder. Think of a hot plate here that it's more important to go away from the string. And yeah, I do it quite here at the edge of the string. So this is movement 1. 1, 2. This is number 2. Just let the 3 fingers tap the other strings. 1, 2, 3. And here, it's good to land on the A string with a big sound again. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I go one step further. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the slap now after the punch. So what you already did before. I repeat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that's that's after the slap. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's the whole circle now. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, what's wrong? So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1. Let's circle time. So on, but yeah, just want to show you how, and I mean this. You can also use this little. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 1. What we just did. You can put it in a chord progression as well. I slow it down that you can spot where it is. So here I do, even without a particular note. So here I use the triplet inside a 4 square meter. 1. Any questions? Can you please show the triplet slowly? Absolutely. After this, Imanya, Roy, you have a question, but first I show the triplet slowly. Oh, is it already? I don't know. So I do it again, the triplet slowly. You mean? So here, the triplet inside the chord progression. Let's go to E minor, for example. Here I don't even make a sounding note. It's just that note, dead note, slap. Dead note, dead note, dead note, but landing on the A string. So, sounds not so good in this tempo, but when you go a little faster, so that, slap. The triplet in. It's a variation of what I did before. You see, it's all kind of it's variations. Not you couldn't really put that in notes. That's why I think score books for these techniques are kind of complicating this thing. Okay. Now there's a question. Can you? How to do this with the how do you do this with the strings? Himanya Roy is asking, how do you do this with the strings? Maybe you can unmute and explain what you mean.
Yes, sir. So this this loud noise you do it, and so it looks sticky. How do you do it?
Do you mean this slap?
Yes, sir.
You mean this particular slap? How to make it to sound like this? So the secret is to go brutally under the string, and you know this sounds really ugly if you just put this one particular note. It sounds really awful, but when you do it like this and make it very short, you know, it's a combination. It's really, I go really under the string and release the string really in an extreme high position of the string. And in addition to that, I make it sound very short with the left hand by not letting it sound, but by lifting the left hand. Lifting just, I mean, not to untouch the string, so let the finger be on the string, but not to press the note. So, and that it's this characteristic bass sound, or comes close to this characteristic bass slap sound. Yeah, I hope. So it's okay to be a little louder with the slap in the beginning, to have more brutal start with that slapping. Later it can become more delicate. Oh. You always should have this how do you say, metallic sound in it. So there's another question. Can you please send the link to that book again? Oh yeah, there it is already. There's the link. And how do you avoid noise while hitting the fretboard? Oh, I don't try to avoid any noise while hitting the fretboard. So this Ishan is asking, how do I avoid the string noise while hitting the fretboard? Do you mean with the left hand or with the right hand? I'm not aware that I'm not trying to avoid anything actually. But maybe you can unmute. Ishan, is it right? John, it's really hard to hear you at the moment. I can't really. Can you try again?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, so I was asking that how do you avoid the string noise, this like these notes that are playing while I'm hitting the fretboard. So this slight noise that's coming.
Sounds good to me. Actually, it's supposed to sound.
Okay.
When you hit the fingers, it's absolutely supposed to have. It's like the similar than putting. Yeah.
Is this sound okay?
Yeah, it is. I mean, Zoom quality.
Yeah, I get it.
It's very good, but it sounds good, and it's supposed to. You know, I'm not. It's on purpose. It should be really there. This sound, absolutely. It's do it all the time. So.
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
You're welcome. Sure. So there's another question by Anand. Do you use any processing to your guitar, like pedals? Was it just a raw classical guitar on stage to balance percussion with melody? Yes, I have to say I'm very bad with fret, like pedal and technique stuff, and I'm a disaster with that. I wish I would know more, but I'm not like that. And so due to lack of knowledge, I do it only with the guitar. I have a double neck guitar as well, which I don't have it here. I don't have here today. But the only thing that I'm using is a muter and sometimes a volume pedal for the second string if I use that. But that's all. Yeah.
Hi, Reenkto. Ma here. Would you suggest maybe for like taking this whole language about a slapping technique,
yeah.
Maybe to hear like some bass players that they develop a lot of this, like in order like as classical guitarists that we are like getting into this, like to listen some bass players and all the funk techniques that they have.
It's actually very good to have. Yeah, thank you more for that question, because it's actually very good to listen to other styles or to music fields that can inspire you and that you are not so familiar with so far. And funny thing is that the one who inspired me for slapping was actually a guitar player called Keziah Jones. I will put that in the chat just as a Keziah Jones. He was, for me, the major influence. If you listen to his version of All Along the Watchtower or the intro of Million Miles from Home, that was for me the starting point for all these techniques. And if you're talking of a bass player more, for me it was actually it was Flea by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, nice.
It's such a badass slapping. Of course, there is more. I put it in here again. Red Hot Chili Peppers, and but there's of course in the jazz, in particular 80s jazz music, there was a lot of slapping. There was Mark King of Level 42, who was amazing. Mark King, Level 42. And but do you know any jazz bassists who do that more? Because I'm Victor Wooten, yeah, right. There's a Victor Wooten is probably also very. But as I said, in bass music, they use a lot the index finger. I'm not so familiar with this, and also it's very bad for if you play with nails. This will damage your nail for sure. But still, to have some groove ideas or to listen to the sound, you should listen to, maybe Victor Wooten is a great name. Do you have any idea more? Who else?
Now I don't have it, but just recently I have seen like many people sharing their videos, like playing, especially like electric guitar, and they are starting to use a lot of like all these techniques about the slapping and chord voice and chord melody mixing with the slapping. That is quite good, quite nice.
Yeah. Well, I always, maybe just to say something, I always appreciate a lot when people use these techniques to make music and not to present the technique throughout the whole piece. I like it when it comes very natural, like once in a while you have a slap or it's there because you wanted to have it there. But if you have a whole piece by slapping or a whole piece by tapping or a whole piece by drumming only, of course, sometimes it's wonderful, but when you know technique, it's great when you show that you have spent some time with this and not to show that you are spending some time with this. You know the difference, that if the technique is actually the reason to play or to compose, play a song or piece, it's for me sometimes a little bit, okay, I see the idea, really great, well done, but always keep in mind that it's about the music and not the technique. Yeah, John Gaumm, of course, right there. There's a lot of suggestions here, and that some I don't even know. I will check that out. Yeah. Okay. So please go ahead for adding more inspirational players. Are there any questions? And I would suggest the ideas for other players just put in the chat. And are there any questions so far about this or about anything that I haven't been talking about yet? So feel free.
Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Hi, sir. My question is about right hand. Actually, when you're playing, it's like very smooth. I mean, I don't know how do we get that kind of smoothness in right hand. I mean, it's very flowy.
It didn't always feel like this, I have to say, and it was so it helped. So what helped me was two things. I never really played flamenco, but not as a flamenco player, but I learned some of the techniques of flamenco. And it made my vocabulary of techniques and playing larger. And in particular, it helped me to play and to make it look elegant. And that helped it helps to make it actually sound also easier, and it helped me to lose tension. That sometimes when we play something, and especially with things when you want to be loud, of course it's very good to be able to play loud, but when it comes from a tension, there's always tension, but there has to be detension as well. So tension and release. So I focused more on the releasing tension part. So to see every movement just more as impulses and not as control the whole way. It's impulses. So just see it. It's actually most movements we play the guitar with. It's part from everyday life when you talk.
It comes automatically.
Okay. Okay. It's actually it should be always try to find connections to what you do and release tension. That's I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. But it's you know, that's an exercise for life, that it becomes more and more natural, and especially on stage you have to deal with many more things than sitting at home and playing for yourself, and to become as natural as you can be. You know, Bobby McFerrin, this amazing singer, and who's giving concerts just the voice, no instruments, no loops. And he's, for me, he's maybe one of the top 5 performances in the world. And he's saying, now he's 60 something years old, he's saying now slowly he's getting a taste of how it feels how it feels natural for him. So it shows it's just a lifetime exercise to make it feel more natural and organic. But it's a wonderful exercise, and I think this is what it helps me to focus on, that, not on playing faster and harder. Yeah, but there's more. You're welcome. There's more questions in the chat. I just read for everyone. You show for the triplet that was 4 steps, but when you play it fast, we get 3 sound for the triplet. So what is the cause? The triplet was 4 steps. Yeah. I see. Get 3 sound. Actually, it's always 4 in a played fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's let's say it's 6 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Always. So it's always 4 when I play it. Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the triplet is always 1, 2, 3, and the goal note. So that, I hope that answers your question, Siddhartha. And hand movement kind of abanico, like abanico. What is abanico? Vinay Kemani, you're asking, or you are mentioning hand movement kind of looks like abanico. Okay, feel free to unmute if you have something. Spanish triplet. Yeah. Actually, I did that, and I would right. So I do that a lot. Actually, it's called rasguado. It's and the rasguado I do is close related to flamenco. Rasguado. The movement is exactly the same. Just flamenco music, they do it usually like they end the rasguado with an upstroke. I found it more convenient to integrate this frasquado into the strumming thing. I give you a short outlook of frasquado, which I explain very detailed in my second video of my guitar bootcamp on YouTube. But I show it now because it's related to the previous question, how it looks very fluid, and this helped a lot because actually most of the hand strokes come from the wrist, not so much from the arm and the wrist, I would say, but from the fingers actually not so much. So all plectrum, all pick guitars, you can either have a break or try it out with me. I give you a short introduction. For more detailed information, it's video number 2 on the bootcamp. So you start up here, not here, but up here, that you have room to swing, and the rotation of the wrist throws the fingers over the strings. 1. It's a fast movement. Tension, release. Tension, release. Second movement is the continuation of the wrist throws the thumb over the strings. So I do the first 2 movements now. 1 and 2. Okay. 1 and 2. And the third movement is actually the wrist movement. The rotation takes the thumb back to the starting position. So we have 1, 2, 3, and we close the circle with the 1. 1. So I repeat: 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. And the thing is, I just point out the main obstacles or mistakes that are made. Keep the tempo really low, but the speed of every movement really high. Fast. Just relax. Just relax. It's only rotation. If I do this, it's nothing but this hand, with the arm. In a slow tempo, it is one movement, another movement, another movement. The faster you get, slowly, it took me a few months to become smooth. It grows together into one movement, which is actually just shaking of the wrist. But it's important in the beginning to really keep the tempo low. Comfort zone. So that is the rasguado I use, and it's brilliant to integrate it. Yeah, coming back to the first rhythm we're doing today. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 4 to place the triplet on the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is really helpful. It opened this combination of this strumming rhythm and this rasguado that opened a universe for me. There are no limits variations, and yeah, this is so much fun. So there's let me catch up a few questions on the chat. Any ideas about internalizing rhythm? Internalizing rhythm. What's internalizing? Ian Holding is asking. What can you Ian? Can you? Ah, there you are. Hello, from New Zealand.
Hi. Yes. Hi. How you doing?
Great.
Yeah. You just instead of kind of intellectualizing rhythm, where you're kind of learning different rhythms, any tips that you had with getting the groove? Like it's actually just getting the feel for the rhythms.
I'm sure there is, but for me, my way of getting into the groove or to feel rhythm is, my approach to it is not intellectual. And I tell my students, I tell them dance, go dancing, dance to the music you play or to music that you listen to, and this will have an effect on your playing. And I think maybe there are good exercises for rhythms. I don't know so many, but rhythm or groove is something not intellectual. So the end result is actually very tribal. Let's say it's very physical, and it's the opposite of intellectual, because it's something that you don't think. When you dance, you don't think which movement to take to do. So I would say
that's a I mean, that's many people have mentioned the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the most natural approach to get close to it is to dance on your way, and it can be also small, or what I sometimes tell students, or what would help me when I play classical guitar, to conduct myself. I listen to a recording and I conduct it, because sometimes, on a guitar there are imitations of a bass, boom, 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 or a flute. So it helps to put away the instrument and just to stand up and to do like this, and to live out the music, or to sing. That is actually the best thing when you play a piece with a melody. First thing I do is I put away the guitar for the first 2 days of learning that piece, and I just sing it, and I try to conduct myself in a way. So this is how I get to know a piece, when it's melodic. When it's rhythmically, it's more dancing, like I do it with the mouth as well. So, but of course, do it anyway. You can do it without mouth. You can find your most natural channel to that, and I think dancing is actually very good for that.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome, Ian. And there's more. I lost track here. So could you please show some exercises to practice every day? I will do that in the end. I will show some practice exercises for every day. Are the strings played closer to the sound hole on the bridge? Yeah, I play the strings usually close. So I play it, I don't know if this is the answer of the question. Strings played closer to the sound hole on the bridge. You can play it here or here. It's not, it's really up to you. Here the sound is a little bit softer. Here it's louder, but it's up to you. It's like everything. It's there's no right or wrong. Again, it makes not easier sometimes because it's up to you, but you can choose. Here it's not when you strum, it's not such a big difference, I think. But in the sound, it's not a big difference. But it's harder to do it here on the bridge. So that's, I would say. If we think rhythm like the heartbeat of the music, maybe we can get a better idea. Yeah, that's actually a very good point, Avneet. Heartbeat is actually, yeah, the beat. We have a beat in ourselves already. So actually, we should always go back to that. And I think, a funny note on the side, I think lullabies are always in a certain tempo that is connected to a heartbeat of a mother. That's why a child is falling asleep to lullabies easy. It's usually dun, 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 dun. It's somehow I heard that, and that is actually a very good picture that how close we are connected to beat, and we have it in ourselves all the time. So where are we? Conduction. Do you have of my nails? A question about my nails. Well, I'm lucky. I've pretty pretty strong nails. In the beginning, when I learned flamenco, I broke nails very often. But in the meanwhile, during the years, I don't use that much force. I think the hand itself finds a way how to protect the nails, still making big sound. So I would trust on that. And usually it's, if I would, looking back, one thing I should have done earlier is to release tension, and not to have too much tension, because when you use tension, you break nails more likely. So release tension. Loudness, volume comes naturally. The same as speed, comes naturally. But when you practice with tension and like this is in your playing then, and not this. So always release tension. I'm going to the chat. Does your arm move while strumming, or is it just the wrist work? My arm is the strumming. It is, but it's, would say mainly the wrist. I can also. I think the arm is more the longer connection to my body. So if you use the body, it actually it happens by itself. It's both arm and wrist, and arm is part of the body. So Vivek is asking, for someone who can play chords and scales on a steel string, would you suggest spending more time on steel string and more classical basic before studying flamenco? Well, I think about flamenco, when you play flamenco, usually flamenco player play only flamenco, and because they have a different sound idea. So when you play some classical music as a flamenco player, it sounds horrible, but for flamenco, it sounds brilliant because they have this very hard sound. Usually the guitars they have special guitars, very the strings are very close to the fret board, and so it always sounds very edgy. But for flamenco, that's exactly the thing. It's supposed to sound hard, and to against all these dances, against 20 dancers doing footwork, you have to be loud. So flamenco, playing flamenco or guitar is like playing church organ or piano, I would say. It's connected, but it is a completely different world, what you want to do. So it's, and so I can't really say, if you want to really learn flamenco, I would say go to a flamenco studio where they dance and say, okay, can I accompany the dancers? And then you automatically learn how to be loud. And I think that's the best exercise. But otherwise, I would say it's hard to do both parallelly. So when I played a little bit flamenco, I didn't play much else in that 1 year. So I can't really say that Vivek is asking that, because I don't know about your playing. I wouldn't like to give general advice what to do. It's really close connected to what you want and what you already know to play. But I would say to do it parallelly, it's very hard. I would choose more or less with these for a while. I hope that answers your question, Vivek, a little bit. What kind of strings do you generally use? Amitabha is asking that. I use hard tension. I use D'Addario. I don't have it here now. I use hard tension, but I don't care so much about strings. I play whatever comes in through my fingers. So I'm not a. This is something I never got into that so much. So I play hard tension. Sometimes carbone is nice, but sometimes I like to get back to nylon. So maybe you can give me some advice on that. I don't know. Can we play flamenco without nails? Well, I think there is 1 or 2 flamenco players without nails, but I can hardly imagine it without nails. I mean, for those strumming things, probably yes, you can somehow make a sound also with a shorter nail, probably possible, but with all those picado things, yeah. So I would say, why not? Yeah, I haven't seen so many flamenco players without nails, but there's nothing can stop you if you want to play flamenco. Don't have nails, but I mean, try nails. I mean, maybe it's even better. It's easier. Some things are easier with nails, I would say. Yeah. Any more questions? Or maybe someone wants to ask questions and to unmute the microphone. I wanted to say something about, please remind me of that, about practicing ideas. And yeah, but maybe there are any other questions? All right, so I can say a few words about practicing, which I mean, I would say more, I already said a lot of things about what's important, I think, strategies, what to focus on. And I really think it's, I mean, I even if I repeat myself, that we play without tension, that we play with joy, because that is every kind of repetition we make is practicing. We have to be aware of that. So if we play a scale and have a mistake in it, that's already practicing. And if we repeat it, we cultivate that. So how to avoid that is to lower the tempo. That's the main key to avoid mistakes, or let's call it things we don't want to avoid. To our ideal idea of what we want to play, to come close to that is to control with the tempo. And the ideal way of playing something is also to feel joy, not stress. And this is what you can cultivate in a slow tempo as well. If you want to have really exercises on scales or on arpeggio and just like a sport program, like to have really stretching and to become faster. I think I always liked Pumping Nylon by Scott Tennant. I write it down. Pumping Nylon, Scott Tennant. Oh, pumping. It's supposed to say pumping, not punting. Pumping. And it's nothing wrong about playing some exercises if you want, I don't know, like as a sportsman, you do some exercises before you actually go on the field and do something, and just and just finish this and then you can ask. And so, but never take those exercises too serious, I would say. Do it as a, it's not the music itself. And even those exercises you can fill with joy and enjoyment and relaxation. That's in anything, you should do that. And there are some teachers who say, first you have to know how to play the piece, and in the end, you add the emotions. And that is idiotic. That is unbelievably stupid, because you have to, that's the first thing you have to put in, is the emotion, actually, I would say. You can't just, in the end, just as a top of it, at the emotion or expression. That's the first thing that always should be there, because that's the music. Otherwise, it's a robot thing. Music is expression. That's always the starting point and the final goal. Okay, there's one unmuted.
Hey, so I have seen that in your music, there are influenced of many genres like flamenco and other things. So did you start this way with a new style, or you just started learning something, then you went to another, then you went to another, and that helped you to make a new style or something like that on your music?
If I got it right, yes. I mean, it's always a bunch of inspirations. Many inspirations came, and sometimes, or mostly actually, it happened. The things that I developed because I couldn't play it well. And for example, there's this classical piece called Koyun Baba, and there's some part like something like this on the string, and I always, I'm really not good in playing with the fingers. No joking, I'm really not fast and not good. And here it also didn't sound well, and so I tried around with the thumb. So this sounded for me. Other people, it sounds great with the fingers. With me, it didn't sound well. But with the thumb, it sounded, I could play it with the thumb. And so I adapted this oud technique from Oriental music. So it's like with a pick, in Oriental music, they use a pick for that. I do it with the thumb. So, and now it happened that I play most melodies only with the thumb. And it happened because I couldn't play it well the other way. And so, yeah, I got, I think it helps to listen to music from all kinds of fields, other instruments, and to get it, to open your perspective, and it helps you with the playing, with your the least idea, the more ideologic, how do you say ideologic? Yeah, you say classical ideologically is always in the way when you play this. You shouldn't play like this, or you should only play like this. You should sit like this. You have to do it like this. This is limiting. It's nothing wrong with that, but it's one way of playing. And for many things, it makes sense to do it like this, but it's never take for granted or never believe anything who's saying things like you should do this. And it's all just an offer, I think. And I'm just saying, I do it this way, and you can try out. And sometimes it's worth trying out really hard and long, even if it doesn't come to the result. But then you can judge, well, okay, this is not my way, but maybe I may have found another way.
So Reenkto, one thing that when you get past that moment, you get frustrated for your own style, because you can play these things you can't play, but cannot play your that thing Kohen Baba. That time you get frustrated for this, because you didn't know what is your future music would come for you. That time you get frustration for this.
Yeah, of course, there have been periods of frustration, and some, there are many pieces I don't play because I simply can't play it well. It's okay.
Because today's your music is absolutely very outstanding, but you did not know in past time that what will come in your life. I said that moment when you did not know what is your own style, but you love to create a new music, but you don't know what is that style. That time you get frustrated.
My style, and of course, like 10 years ago, even, or I don't know, 50, I didn't really, I was just trying out and didn't have this perspective on myself from the outside. So I was just in it and trying, and I was never trying to invent new things. I was just trying to find solutions, and I think that's the good chance we have, great chance we have to find individual solutions. And guitar is a relatively new instrument compared to violin, or other instruments have a much longer tradition, and guitar is still relatively new. And especially with in every culture you have guitar music. In almost many cultures you have guitar music, and now you can combine it. And so actually it's amazing what you can learn from other cultures. So yeah, I would say it's good to try to find solutions, not to invent something new, to have that in mind. It will happen, and even if it doesn't happen, you find creative solutions, and that's what I always tried in a way. I don't know if that really is the answer to your question.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions? If you have studied rumba, can you suggest some practice for golpe or squad? If you've studied rumba, yeah, I wouldn't like to to give suggestions for flamenco music, because I'm not a real flamenco musician. If one rasguado I showed you a little bit, it's also on the YouTube tutorials. I'll give you the link here. It's a rasguado which you can integrate into the strumming thing, and that helps with rumba if you want to play. I mean, I was playing in a Latino band in my first 2 years of studies, so I was playing a lot of rumba, and yeah, of course you can do that. Yeah, so I would just say, don't study too much at home with a book. Go out and join other musicians and play. I think that is the most fun part of music, and that is the way you learn the most in the end of the day. I think that's it. I think, yeah. There's any tips of transcription? Transcription, yeah. In general, well, if you ask for transcriptions of me or that I wrote, I usually don't write pieces down. I'm too lazy to write it down on scores. I'm not good in reading scores, and I'm limited. It's too much effort for me to write it down usually. But I have written down Yüksek Tepeler. I can just put it. I can send it here for everyone. So feel free to use that. That's a Turkish traditional, very easy to play, very beautiful ancient melody. I will put it here after at the end of. I will put it in the attachment. And any other things? Yeah, I will also write down my YouTube tutorial. You can find the things we did here, and some more things as well. There's room for the final question. Unmuted or not? Can you give tips? Can you give tips on what to think when solo performing for 30 up to 45 minutes? We know we need to enjoy the pieces we are playing, but sometimes other things comes to our mind. Absolutely, like people singing, audience, or food. Wow, food that's new for me. Or like, what if I made mistakes or more? Very good question. Let me take this as the final question. So, performing situation is totally different than practicing situation. So actually, it's here it helped. There's a book about tennis by tennis player Brad Gilbert. Oh, thank you for the attachment here. And Brad Gilbert was a not so talented tennis player, but he was very, very good in preparing for a tennis match, in being prepared for any situation. So in him, it was, I think, number 4 in the world. Everyone knew he wasn't so talented, but he was strategically was a genius. And in this book, it's called Winning Ugly. It's not about being unfair, but it's about being, he had a very ugly style of playing tennis, but he was just very smart. And so I adapted a lot of things. How he's preparing for a tennis match, I adapted for preparing for an important concert. And it starts with having a routine before every concert that I don't think, I just think I have, I just know I eat a banana and I do this and I do that and that. I just stick to a plan. And now it comes to the most important thing. Before every concert, I think, I did it for a while now, I don't do it for every concert, but I did it for a while, that I thought of what is the worst that can happen. What are bad things that can happen? Exactly the things you mentioned, Naiba. Or I see some person in the front and he looks bored. Or, oh my God, my tone is it's not good today. Oh, I made a mistake. Or what do you think? All the things that I wrote on a list on one page. On the other page, I wrote the solution to it. No, it doesn't look bored. Trust on the music. No, my tone is okay, and I prepared very well. No, even if I made a mistake, music is not about the mistakes. Back to the music. What is the reason why for doing this? I can't avoid that distracting thoughts come to my mind, but I can erase them right away because first of all, I'm not surprised that they come. Oh, now this happens. Oh, and I had this thought. Oh, I never have guessed that. No, you're prepared that this can come up and you can close it. Okay, I know you came. Hello, thought. I know you came, but here's the thing. Ciao. So, and actually, this is very helpful to do that. To think of the worst things a string can break. Okay, then maybe someone has another guitar, or worst case, you put on a new string. Okay, that's actually the most memorable moments of a concert. Actually, what you think sometimes is the worst thing that can happen is for an audience is the icebreaker. I remember a duo partner. His high E string broke in the middle of a concert, which is actually it takes a while until a new string is staying in tune. It was hilarious. It was amazing, the whole concert, and the fight or the playing with the E string, and the people loved it. And so accept it. It's good that things can happen live, and accept it and be prepared. And I think this is. And at some point, it doesn't distract you that much because it becomes just a very small thought. Oh, and you don't judge it. Oh, this person there looks like this. Okay. Who knows? Who knows what she's thinking? I don't know. And oh, I'm not in tune. Okay, I'll do a little bit here. So it doesn't distract you anymore at some point. So the best thing is to go on stage, perform. It will just disappear. All right. Yeah. So some people are thanking already in the chat. I thank you because it's wonderful because you remind me of all the things that I don't always do these things that I told you, but it's good to be reminded of that. So thank you as well. Maybe Vera will take a few last words.
Yeah, thanks so much, Reenkto. And thank you everyone for being part of the workshop. We have recorded this, so if you don't mind, we can put it up for YouTube for our Guitar Society. There are a few videos pending from my side, and when I get more bandwidth, I'll upload them all. But that's the idea. I can also send an email to everybody who participated with links to the Reenkto's bootcamp and maybe the sheet music you talked about, and all the books that we mentioned, and anything else. You guys, if you want to say something, if you want to add something, we will have other sessions like this. I am going to also send out a survey form because we're designing the next set of workshops, and some inputs will make this better. Yeah. So thanks so much, Reenkto. And really, thanks for giving us your Sunday morning. Yeah.
I have a lot of time at the moment, so it doesn't matter if it's Sunday or Tuesday. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, so maybe I can, I don't know I used to be able to do this, but if anybody wants to say thank you, you just unmute yourself and say thank you, and we can end the class soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Reenkto. Very nice.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
all have a great Sunday. And I hope to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Reenkto. Hope to connect with you on Instagram or
And
Facebook if you like.
you can continue there.
Thanks, Nico.
Thank you, sir, for this great session.
Really hope to connect with you on Instagram or Facebook if you don't mind.
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao.
Have a great Sunday, all.
You too.
Have a great
Greetings to
Sunday,
Jimmy.
sir. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.